My dear students, welcome once again to my online class. This is Mohammed Salim Sikder, Assistant Professor, Department of English, now Faizunnisa Government College, Laksham, Kumilla. My dear boys and girls, how are you? I hope you are safe and sound at home. You know that we are passing through a pandemic situation. That is why we cannot take your classes face to face. On campus classes are closed, and we have taken the help of online classes. I hope you will try your best to follow the classes that we are conducting online so that you can complete your syllabus. My dear boys and girls, today I have designed the class for first year honors. The subject that I'm going to discuss today is Introduction to Poetry. You have four courses, English courses in your first year: Introduction to Poetry, Introduction to Prose, English reading skill, and English writing skill. I shall discuss a lyric poem from Introduction to Poetry today. Dear boys and girls, what do you see? Who is that gentleman? Which flowers are they? Okay, you have heard the name of William Wordsworth. This gentleman is William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth is the greatest romantic poet. And the flowers in the picture are daffodils. The flowers are daffodils. So, from the picture, I hope you have already understood that I'm going to discuss a poem written by William Wordsworth. The title of the poem, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. The another name of the poem, The Daffodils. The Daffodils. Of course, it is written by William Wordsworth. I've already mentioned that William Wordsworth is the greatest of all romantic poets. He is the founder of a romantic period in English literature. You have already known that with the publication of lyrical ballad in collaboration with Samuel Taylor Coleridge, the Romantic era began in English literature. William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge, both of them published a book, The Lyrical Ballad, in 1798. So, Romantic era began in English literature in 1798. In the classroom, I told you something about romantic periods. I told you some characteristics of romantic poetry. Number one of them, subjectivity. Number two, love for nature. Number three, supernaturalism. Number four, pantheism. Number five, medievalism, etc. etc. So, my dear students, after studying this poetry also, this poem also, we shall try our best to find out the romantic elements in this poem. So, my dear students, let us see what can we learn after this class. At the end of this class, you will be able to. That means I shall discuss the class in such a way that you will be able to know something new about the poem. Number one, recite the lyric. You will be able to recite the lyric. You will be able to define a lyric. Then what is a lyric? What are the qualities of a lyric, etc. Explain the theme and figures of speech of the poem. We shall find out the theme of the poem. The theme of the poem. That means the main idea of the poem, the message of the poem, what the poet wants to convey to his readers. And then you will be able to find out the figures of speech used in this poem. You have already heard about the figures of speech. Analyze the structure and the rhyme scheme of the poem. I have already mentioned in the class what is the rhyme scheme. We shall try our best to find out the rhyme scheme of the poem. So you will be able to learn a lot of things if you minutely, attentively follow this class. My dear boys and girls, let us know something about William Wordsworth, the profile of the poet. I have written here the greatest romantic poet of the world. The greatest romantic poet of the world. He was born on 7th April 1770. Wordsworth was born on 7th April 1770. His birthplace, Cockermouth, Cumberland, England. Cockermouth, Cumberland, England. Death, 23rd April 1850. 23rd April 1850. The name of his wife, Mary Hutchinson. The name of his children, John, Dora, Thomas, Catherine. 4 children, John, Dora, Thomas, Catherine. Parents, John Wordsworth and Anne Cookson Wordsworth. John Wordsworth and Anne Cookson Wordsworth. Occupation, you have already known that he was a poet laureate. William Wordsworth was a poet laureate. What is poet laureate? I shall discuss it later. Just listen to me. Poet laureate is a poet appointed by the king in his court. So in Bangla we can say Raj Kobi, Shobha Kobi, অথবা Raj Kobi, Raj Shobhai যে কবি কবিতা লেখেন. So this title is very dear for a poet, was very dear for a poet, was very lucrative designation obtained by a poet laureate. His great works, lyrical ballads, the prelude, odes and sonnets. A lot of poems. Wordsworth has written a lot of poems. He has some critics also. You will find it in your further syllabuses. Movement, romantic movement. I have already mentioned it that Wordsworth was the pioneer of romantic movement. it can be said that Wordsworth is the founder of Romantic movement in English literature, the second Romantic movement, and he has written in a period, the name of the period, Romantic period, 1798 to 1832. 1798 to 1832. Although he died 1850, in 1850, he didn't write meaningful after 1832. That is why romantic period uh, romantic period ends in 1832. Dear boys and girls, I have I hope you have understood. You have got the information about William Wordsworth. Let's started reading the poem. At first, I shall try my best to recite it in front of you so that you can also recite it. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet couldn't but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon the inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Dear boys and girls, now we shall try our best to understand the poem. I wandered lonely as a cloud. You have already seen there is a I speaker in the poem. The speaker of the poem is wandering. Wandering means aimlessly wandering, from going from here to there, loitering here and there without any aim, because he has told us that he is wandering lonely as a cloud, like a cloud in the sky that floats on high over vales and hills. That means the cloud generally floats on high over vales and hills. Vales and hills means mountains, you know, a height in the land. So the poet or the speaker of the poem is loitering here and there like a cloud, like a lonely cloud. That means you have already understood that the poet is lonely, and he's not in a gay mode. He was not in a jocund mode. He was not in a enjoying mood, enjoyable mood. He was in a pensive mood, I think, because he was lonely. When all at once I saw a crowd, and while he was loitering lonely, he at once saw a host of golden daffodils. That means he has seen a lot of daffodils flowers. Lot of daffodil flowers beside the lake, beneath the trees. That means he has seen all those daffodils beside a lake and beneath a tree, under a tree, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. And those daffodils are fluttering in the picture. In the picture I have shown you before, you have seen uh, how the daffodils dances, how the daffodils dance in the breeze, fluttering and dance, flutter and dance in the breeze. That means they were swinging uh, in a gentle breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. That means those flowers are compared with the stars. Compared with the stars in the Milky Way. Milky Way, no Milky Way. Akash Ganga is our uh, is যেটাকে আমরা আমাদের মহাবিশ্ব বলে থাকি, আমাদের ছায়াপথ মিল্কি ওয়ে। মিল্কি ওয়েতে যেরকম তারাগুলি তোমার নাচতে থাকে, ঝিকমিক ঝিকমিক করে জ্বলতে থাকে, ঠিক সেইভাবে তোমার ড্যাফোডিল গুলিও ঝিকমিক ঝিকমিক করে জ্বলছে। The stressed in never ending line along the margin of a bay, অর্থাৎ এগুলি তোমার মার্জিন অফ এ বে, উপসাগরের তীর ধরে, উপসাগরের তীর ধরে, in the shore of a bay, they were endless line, endless line, that means a long line of golden daffodils. 10,000 saw I at a glance. Now the poet uh, tells us that the speaker tells us that he has seen 10,000 daffodils at a glance. We know practically it is not possible, but in poem, you know, some exaggeration is in romantic poems, some exaggeration is not undoubtable, and is not undoubtedly very impossible. Such type of exaggeration is possible in romantic poems. Tossing their heads in sprightly dance. That means the daffodils are dancing in a sprightly mood, in a jocund mood, in a happy mood. That means in a happy mood they are tossing their heads with the breeze. They were bending their heads with the gentle breeze. So the poem is about daffodils, uh, an element of nature. Daffodils is an element of nature. The poet was wandering in a pensive mood. The poet was wandering in a, I think, in a unhappy mood. But when he saw those daffodils, those daffodils which were dancing gladly in gentle breeze, he has become, his pensive mood has gone, and he has become, I think he has become happy. In the for the lines of the poems, he has already told us that the waves beside them danced. He saw the waves in the bay. They were also dancing, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. But the dancing of the daffodils is more sparkling than the dancing of the waves. That means in the dancing of the daffodils is very vivid, more vivid than the dancing of the waves of the bay. A poet couldn't but be gay. That means after seeing this kind of scene, the mind of a poet cannot but be happy in such a jocund company. Jocund company means happy company, happy company, jocund company, gay company. That means after seeing the scene, the pensive mind of the poet has become a happy mind. His mood has changed. The mood of the speaker has changed. He was lightering lonely as a cloud, but after seeing all those daffodils, his mind has changed. The mood of his mind has changed. He is now happy. He is not anymore in a pensive mood. So the element of the nature, the element of the nature can change the mood of the mind of human being. I gazed and gazed, but little thought. The poet tells us, the speaker tells us that he was only gazing at the flowers, but he couldn't understand at that moment what well the show to me had brought. She couldn't understand at that moment what the sight uh, brought for him. What the sight brought for him. At that moment, he couldn't understand. But for oft, when on my couch I lie, but when he was alone in his drawing room on a couch, in vacant or in a pensive mood, in a vacant mood, that means he in a lying on his couch when he thinks over the sight that he has seen along the merging of the bay, the sights of the yellow daffodils, golden daffodils, they flash upon the inward eye. The sight of the golden daffodils comes in his inward eye. That means he can imagine. He can imagine the sight uh, of the golden daffodils when he was in a pensive mood, when he is in a vacant mood in his drawing room, which is the bliss of solitude. That means he told us that this site has become a bliss of solitude when he was alone, when he was in pensive mood. This kind of sights can change his mood, can bring happiness in his mind. And then my heart with pleasure fills. His heart has become full of pleasure and dances with the daffodils, and his heart begin also begins to dance with the golden daffodils. So what have we understood from the poem? We have understood that an element of nature has a power, has a power to change the mood of human mind. Mood of human mind. The poet was loitering in a sad mood, unhappy mood, because he was alone. But after seeing the golden daffodils, his mind has changed. But at that moment, he couldn't think much because the sight mesmerized him. The sight uh, enriched his mind with pleasure. For this sight made him spellbound. But when he's in a pensive mood in his drawing room, lying on a couch, the entire sight comes in his inward eye. He can see the daffodils in his inward eye, and he can understand that his mind becomes happy with that imaginative sights, imaginative scenes, and uh, he his heart starts dancing with the golden. daffodils. That means this kind of sight and sense can change the mood of the mind of human beings. So, my dear students, I hope you have understood the poem. There are some new words for you. At first, you have to know the Bangla meaning of those words. Then you should find out some synonyms of those words. Synonyms are most important because when you will write the question answers, you can use those words in your answer. That is why you have to know the Bangla meaning, and you have to know some synonyms of those unknown words, and then you have to recite this poem again and again. Recite this poem again and again. Then you will try your best to read the poem with Bangla meaning. With Bangla meaning, then you will be able to understand the poem. So if you don't read this poem again and again, you will not understand the poem, and without understanding this poem, you will not be able to give answers all the questions of this from this poem. So, my dear students, today I want to end my class. In the next class, I shall try my best to analyze this poem. We shall find out the romantic elements. We shall find out the figures of speech. We shall try our best to find out rhyme scheme, find out the rhyme scheme of this poem. We shall try our best to know about lyrics, the characteristics of lyrics, and we shall try our best to assess this poem, whether it is a successful lyric or not. So, in the next class, we have a lot of discussion. We have a lot of discussion. So, today, what is homework for you? Your homework is to read this poem again and again with Bangla meaning, so that you will you can take part in the next discussion, further discussion of this poem. Okay, my dear boys and girls. No more today. Try your best to keep safe. Thanks, everybody. See you in the next class. Goodbye.